So here we are in Red River Gorge, and I just realized I've never showed you guys exactly how I set up my hammock and tarp and shelter for the night, so I'm going to do that now. And first of all, one of the first things I look for is pretty important, is I look up and the trees around me, make sure there's no widowmakers or branches that I think are dead fall, things that are going to fall on me in the middle of the night or not in the middle of the night to ruin kind of my shelter. So I've already done that. I've already made sure there's nothing above me. Second thing I do is I look for two trees about 12 to 15 feet apart. And how I do that is I step off at least 5 large paces for a person my height, and that's about 15 feet. If I can do that, then I choose a spot, and it's usually pretty good for a hammock hang. It is starting to rain a little bit, so the first thing I'm going to do is set up my tarp. I use Dutchware stingers, which are really handy, and I'm going to use that first of all to make sure my gear gets under it and my hammock and stuff doesn't get wet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a porch mode setup. It's not supposed to rain a whole lot. What porch mode is one side is going to be down closer towards the ground, so shelter me from the rain, and then the other side is going to be up like a porch, so I can see out and see what's going on.
All that matters is I have my
Alright, so just showing my hammock setup and what I'm going to do. And so I have a new hammock here. It's the 1.6 Dream Hammock. I had to get another one. So this one's pretty awesome. Some things I do that are tips and tricks are I go ahead and put some nail polish on the end of this sil nylon stuff sack. And that way I know that's the foot end, because I usually will want the foot end to be about 12 inches higher than the head end. It's a more comfortable lay that way. So, and I also, to remind me, I also have the straps on that end as well. So these are longer straps than I usually use. But like I said before, I've mentioned, you probably know, but I'm practicing for possibly having bigger trees. So these are 12-foot straps. First thing I do is I loop this around the tree like this. So I use a carabiner, and these are Whoopie Slings. Whoopie Slings, all they are a little bit of, they're kind of these Dyneema or M steel. And how it works is we lengthen, and by pushing down here, it's kind of like a Chinese finger torture. Pass and shorten. So what I use is I use the Marlin spike hitch. And so this is pretty easy. What we do is we loop like so, and then go back on itself. And then I take the carabiner and I clip it through instead of using a toggle. Then I flip it like that and pull the knot tight. So I tighten up, I go over onto the knot, then I open that wire gate, clip that through. And so what I'm hanging on is I'm not hanging on the carabiner. This is really important. This is the most important part, is I'm hanging actually on the knot, not the carabiner. It's one thing you want to make sure, or else you will possibly break your carabiner or toggle. Okay? So I open the other end of the stuff sack. And usually I try my best not to make sure that the hammock does not touch the ground. So to get my other hammock strap, put it up like so. I clip to whatever's handy at this point. Loop around the other tree. Feed it through. And repeat the exact same process that I did on the other side. Marlin spike hitch, pull back onto itself, put the beaner through, loop around, tighten up. So you saw those Marlin spike hitches that I put in there, kind of up close. So hopefully that was helpful to you. And all I had to do is kind of adjust the Whoopie Slings to make the hammock sit a little higher. And so here's what it looks like now. So it's sitting up right about there where I can kind of sit in it pretty easily for someone my height. And kind of how I check to make sure it's the right tensions, I check that ridge line. And if I can turn it like that, that means it's pretty good. It's going to tighten up once I get in. I don't want it to be super taut, so I'm not putting too much pressure on that ridge line in the hammock. This is what it looks like. I usually try to aim for a 30-degree angle. How I try is like this and see if it fits or not. It doesn't have to be exact. I usually use it as a good estimate of a good hang. So here it is. And this has got to be one of my favorite views. Laying in the hammock, looking out in porch mode. I'm pretty comfortable. I remember those tips that I always give whenever laying in a hammock is you want to lay on the diagonal. You don't want to lay end to end straight on. You want to make sure you lay on the diagonal, and that way you lay flat. You kind of put your feet that way. And I'm pretty comfortable, so I should probably help those guys get firewood. So I'll go ahead and do that in a little while. So here's a full look at my setup now that it's all complete. Here we have the War Bonnet Big Mama Jama set up in porch mode. And I am using these tarp tensioners. I'll put kind of how to make them in the card right about here. Tyvek 1443R ground sheet. And then we have this new Dream Hammock Darien. This one is made from the 1.6 Hyper D material. And I am sleeping on the, not using the underquilt this time because I'm practicing, but it's the Neo Air X Therm, super warm. And then you have the Enlightened Equipment 20-degree top quilt.